So, question 19 and 20 are all about Rob and his baked beans. And it says, use your psychological knowledge to suggest how Rob can manage his phobia. There's various techniques that you could use. So, you could use classical conditioning, such as systematic desensitization, or you could use flooding because that's based on the principles of classical conditioning as well, or you could use operant conditioning, which is let's think, this is positive and negative reinforcement or punishment. You might also talk about vicarious reinforcement if you like, but I've never seen a phobia be treated through vicarious reinforcement, so that might not work very well. And you could also talk about therapy if you like. So let's go with the easier one to do, which is classical conditioning. So Rob could manage his phobia of baked beans by using systematic desensitization. By using systematic desensitization with a therapist. Rob would create a hierarchy of fears, such as seeing a picture of baked beans at the bottom as the least scary, and actually eating beans as the most. He would then progress through this hierarchy and each time use relaxation techniques. So for example, if Rob was presented with a tin of open baked beans, he would have to relax using breathing, and this would pair this response with the baked beans to remove his phobia until he moves up the hierarchy to eating the beans. Eventually Rob would be classically conditioned to not fear the orange devils anymore. So I put a little bit of context in there. Alternatively, a quicker method would be to use flooding, which would be where Rob would face the top of his hierarchy until he wasn't scared anymore. For example, sitting him in a bathtub of beans and locking him in the room until he wasn't scared. No, until he wasn't scared anymore. Eventually he would exhaust his anxiety response and then no longer fear a bit, and then no longer be distressed, because that's a little bit of context because it's in there as well. So those two. Alternatively, okay, Rob could also manage his phobia using operant conditioning. For example, every time he A to B, he could get rewarded with something pleasurable, like a sweet, and therefore be positively reinforced to eat beans. Um, or alternatively, he could be negatively reinforced or positively punished by making him do 20 push-ups. That was something someone suggested, which is really good. 20 push-ups every time he doesn't face the beans. I don't know, you could say loads of different stuff. And then you can also talk about therapy. So, you can talk about his experiences. You could bring in like unconscious conflicts and stuff like that. I mean, the modern explanation of phobias now is through behaviourist theory, which is what these are suggesting in classical and operant conditioning. So these are the best ones to use. As you can see, I've got systematic desensitisation, so I've got an actual suggestion of what I would do, and I've actually explained how it would be done. So how do they actually kind of, do it? And then we've got some context, so all about the baked beans and all that kind of stuff. And then there's kind of like explanation on there as well, so you kind of need all of that stuff. And then I've got another one here, so flooding, just there, explanation of it and in context. So all that is kind of like explanation and context. I think this bathtub bit's probably the context. And then we've got operant conditioning. That's another suggestion. And then we've got positively punished, and we've got positive reinforcement, and then obviously there's context and explanation in there. So, we've got one mark for systematic desensitisation, we've got one mark for suggesting that we'd create a hierarchy, we've got another mark for mentioning relaxation techniques, we've got a mark for the example, we've got a mark for flooding, we've got a mark for operant conditioning. In fact, there's 2 marks there for flooding because it's explained. We've got another mark for the operant conditioning because we've explained and given an example, and then yes, that's 8 marks basically. In fact, it's more than 8 marks. Like, you probably wouldn't even need to write that much. But that gives you an example of the detail that you need. So you need to kind of demonstrate that you understand how these treatments are actually used. How do you actually go about them? You're suggesting to do them, but you're not really suggesting how that they're actually done. So that needs to be on there, and lots of examples and context and whatever. And if you can put some of the quotes in here, it would be even better. So you could bring in Tesco, and you could say things like, one of the hierarchy things to go near it on a shelf in Tesco, and then that would bring in the context as well. So if you're aiming for like an AA star answer, you need to get some stuff like that in, and then that would be really good.